Stranger to us, no stranger to him.
Ah yes, Pontins, how could I forget? It's now nearly a year since I checked in for a break at its Greensands resort in Somerset following some alarming complaints like these.
The pillowcase was mouldy, it had mould spots, and I mean, I'm not talking a small patch, a big patch of mould. I'm not going to put my head on that, so I'm certainly not going to put my children's head on that.
The bedding was horrendous, and I mean absolutely horrendous. It had urine stains all over it, blood, what appeared to be dry faeces.
Told you it was hard to forget, didn't I? Anyway, there were no signs of human waste in my chalet, although it definitely could have been cleaner.
The first thing I want to tell you, as I walk into this room, is the smell. Oh, it hits the back of the throat. It's like a mouldy smell, but it's really strong. This place is full of dust, and around the toilet, well, it's not good.
As a result of our findings, we brought in our 7 dwarves. Dirty, grimy, mouldy, and the rest, to put things right. Why? Well, because the new owners, Britannia Hotels, had promised to introduce some Disney-style razzmatazz to Pontins. They later told us that a huge refurbishment programme was underway and complained that we hadn't given them enough time to bring the parks up to scratch.
Are you happy that people existed in those conditions?
I'm happy that the refurbishments are going quicker than
But
anybody.
what about the people who didn't experience
I'm
the
happy
refurbishment?
that the refurbishments are going as planned.
Ah, great memories. You enjoyed that one, didn't you?
Quite scary, wasn't she?
She was. Well, 11 months on, we're still getting complaints, so we decided to check on the progress of those promised refurbishments. And this time we booked ourselves into the Camber Sands Park in East Sussex. First, the bad news. Although it seemed that some of the park was being refurbished, large parts of it were definitely still shabby. But now, for the worst news, it was also a health hazard, and according to one expert who's since seen our footage, Pontins could be breaking the law.
There are a number of potential regulations that you're being not complying with. I would strongly advise that urgent action is required.
So what hazards are we talking about? Well, let's start with the children's playground, where members of our team discovered what looks like a broken climbing frame, pieces of timber sticking out from a hole in the ground, and safety fencing that anyone can get through.
The fencing is inadequate. The children themselves, if they got into where that broken equipment was, they can climb on it, it can move, they can get trapped by it, they can fall off it, there may be sharp edges, who knows what could happen to them.
As for the bouncy castle, it was rightly supervised by staff during the day, but when we returned at 6 o'clock in the evening, there was no one in charge. It was deflated, but kids could still get access.
The kids can actually jump onto it. It's a great place to play hide and seek. They could try and bounce on pockets of air and fall onto the stakes, causing potentially some serious injuries. And also they could crawl underneath and get trapped.
We did see evidence of Pontins trying to refurbish the park, but look how the builders left it once they'd finished their shifts.
The storage of all those building materials is unacceptable.
Paving slabs, breeze blocks and timber were all left unattended in a car park just a stone's throw away from the guest chalets. While in the camp itself, a piece of string and white tape was all that separated the guests from these holes in the ground.
If somebody fell down one of those or got their foot in it, they could possibly break their leg easily.
Now, what else was left lying around? Oh yeah, a forklift truck.
It's just bad practice. Very bad practice.
In fact, throughout our secret filming, the truck was left unattended. And even though it was parked next to the security office, we saw a child playing on it. And to make matters worse, it had a cylinder of propane gas fixed to the back.
There could have been an escapage of gas if there was a leakage from the bottle caused by people interfering with it. And as it's in a public area, people passing by smoking, there is the potential there for an explosion.
So, was there more emphasis on safety over in the so-called fun zone? I'm afraid not. This is the climbing tower, closed for 2 years, but easily accessible for anyone to climb up, unsupervised. And this is the go-kart track. As these vehicles are petrol-powered, fire extinguishers must be on hand. The labels on these say they were last checked in 2010.
They're out of date. and they need to be inspected and tested every year. And there is potentially the case that these fire extinguishers would not work.
Nearby, we found a number of broken bikes and pedal go-karts, all left unattended overnight, and providing a temptation these teenagers just couldn't resist.
If they're not fit for purpose, then they should not be accessible to the children.
And just metres away, we discovered an unlocked door leading to a workshop, where we found an electrical circular saw.
That's shocking, that's not good. All that needed to be happened was that to be plugged in. If the power was live, they could commence playing with the saw. Injuries associated with circular saws, amputated fingers, amputated hands, very serious, and again, totally unacceptable.
In fact, after reviewing our footage, Duncan reckoned he spotted multiple breaches of health and safety regulations. Another potential mess for Pontins. And this time, they might need more than just a few cleaners to sort it out.
My overall impressions of health and safety on this site is that they are not managing it well. It's not for me to say what action the enforcing authorities would take, but they could potentially put improvement notices on, they could potentially put prohibition notices on, and they could also go straight for prosecution for the breaches of these health and safety laws.
Well, Eileen Downey, Operations Manager of Pontins, has told us they take all health and safety issues seriously. A regular and independent inspection was carried out on the 6th of September, that's 3 days after our last visit. She says they acted on the findings and that a further inspections 2 days ago confirmed that any items for attention had been rectified. She adds that Camber Sands has had 200,000 visitors this year and has an excellent safety record with minimal accidents reported.
Thanks to all those who've been in touch about that story. Here's a few more.